Proof is in the pudding, they say.
Yeah. And if you're talking about Cosby, it's more than just proof.
Let's redirect that point. Do you have any? Welcome to Nerdentials, your weekly dose of the nerdy essentials covering film, TV, video games, and comic books. I'm your host, Joe Tweeden. And joining me this week is my counterpart, my comrade in arms, my nerd outlook for things I sometimes overlook. We have my dear friend, the illustrious Nick Thomas. Welcome, sir.
Illustrious. Ooh.
Well, the beard is presenting itself in such a manner that I felt it was an adequate, if not accurate, title to throw your way.
I'll take it.
Well, guys, it's good to be back. It's we're gonna update you guys a little bit on the forward motion of things here on the channel, but for right now, we're gonna throw down some brief housekeeping and then get into some topics because we got a lot of fun stuff to talk about today. First off, we relaunched the website, our website. We got the old domain back of the original title, Nerdentials.com. And instead of Nerdentials Media, so I made it simpler, even easier to find. Took off one word, but that means the podcast feed's back up on all platforms. If you guys are listening to us, wherever podcasts are, if you want to see our faces as we talk about things and possibly see our reactions to video clips, gaming, TV, or movies, you can check us out on YouTube. We are now even easier to find on YouTube. Even if you don't use the search, you can @ us now because there's so many handles now. They've introduced this whole @ system. So if you type @ and the channel handle, it will take you to that website. There's no more / / adding all these other things. So if you just simply type in the @ symbol like an email, you go @ Nerdentials, it'll take you straight to our channel. So video, audio, that's where we're at, guys. This is the tail end of August at the time of this recording, guys, and I'd like to welcome all of you to episode 129 of the Nerdentials podcast. That's where we're at, and we are going to try to cover a variety of things today: movie, TV, and maybe some game talk at the end. Bro, once we get on a steady flow here, we'll lock down the introductions in a little more timely fashion. So I'll keep it simple and short today. Guys, we've got some newer movies to give you our thoughts on, some things we're excited about in TV, and hopefully some gaming later. I keep saying that because sometimes we talk at length. So, Nicholas, first off, just some quick catch up. How you been, man? Overall, just in general, man.
I've been all right. Recently injured myself. Other than that, I'm doing good.
Dude, you don't look injured. Is it an internal struggle?
There's always an internal struggle. But no, I recently was doing some work and created a whole bunch of micro tears in my shoulder, front and back, and the joint itself. They don't know exactly what I did to it yet because they didn't want to do any imaging. So they're trying to fix it with pain pills and anti-inflammatories and physical therapy. And if that doesn't heal within 6 weeks, they're going to go do some imaging and figure out what's going on with it.
Shit. Well, we all hope for the best, sir. Last thing you want is more invasive examinations that lead to sometimes scarier problems.
I just wish they would have done the scan earlier because that's the wonderful thing about being on OHP. They will do the most minimal as possible. That's the wonderful thing about being on free healthcare provided by the state.
Oh,
It's shitty healthcare.
Well, and that's West Coast stuff, probably possibly. I don't know if it's nationwide here in the States, just for our listeners, depending on where you guys are listening from, but it's not great. Bro, I think I'd ask you what you've been playing or watching, but that's gonna kind of lead straight into our episode today. So,
Well,
guys,
playing, you can't go wrong there. I've been doing a lot of Destiny too. You know me.
back into that.
I'm a Destiny 2 whore. But I dove into a few indie games that I've actually really, really enjoyed.
Dude, I saw some completion stuff on one of them. What was that one?
Oh, no, not just some completion. I completed everything that there was to complete. I recently got a hold of a game that won a lot of accolades back in 2022 as one of the best RPGs of the year. A little game called Chained Echoes. It has old Super Nintendo style vibes. The look of it, everything.
Pixel retro, top down.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But the story is fantastic. The play style of it with the JRPG, the turn based thing, was they set it up so similar, but with cool little features that I had never seen in any other game before. So much so that, dude, RPGs have been like top of everything I love to play for my entire life. I grew up on stuff like Zelda, Link to the Past, Super Mario, the Super Mario RPG, Legend of the Seven Stars. And I grew up with that style of game, and this fit that same style, but this easily popped up into my top 5 ever after playing it.
Dude, that's wild.
Yeah. No, if anyone gets a chance to play it, Chained Echoes, it's free on Game Pass, and it's a fantastic game. And yeah, so I kind of did a review of a game when we're not even doing a gaming talk section.
Hey, you know what? Yeah, dude. Like that's fantastic though. Well, because it wasn't one we were gonna dive into. Although shameless plug. Maybe I didn't. I know I sampled it personally. And there's a good chance I did a player pass video on it on our channel, on our gaming channel. I know I sampled it though for sure. So, and I definitely dig it, dude. It gave me Final Fantasy Tactics vibes.
Yeah.
You know, that's one of the only closest comparisons I personally can think of because I haven't played a lot of that. Definitely like, you know, the Legend of Zelda, like super old classic SNES era. Or no, classic Nintendo only, not just the SNES as they say, Super Nintendo, but or SNES. Anyway. Dude, go ahead, sorry.
Very, very well. They did it very well.
Nice. Yeah, I've been doing the same thing. Because I have that Player Pass series, I end up automatically sampling a lot of stuff on Game Pass, and until some of the AAA stuff comes out, which is a couple weeks away, we haven't talked about, you know, what we're excited about yet, but everyone on the internet knows a little classic indie title by the name of Starfield by this cute little indie developer Bethesda. Yeah, we're kind of stoked about this indie developer. But that aside,
I don't think this word means what you think it means.
Innuendo, sir. Innuendo.
What's in my window?
Probably not today's topics. Which we should jump into now. Yeah, because I've got a lot of things I've hit on the gaming side. So you know what, guys? I'll have to replace the banner down below because I didn't even jump into Movie Matters yet. Oops. Boom. Right there. See, it's gone. Pardon me. All right, guys. Well, that being said, I guess never mind. We'll just jump into it. I'll get better at teasing things in the future. Guys, let's jump into Movie Matters. Oh, no, there's the background. That was a shot my load too soon. Here we go. Welcome to Movie Matters, nerds. We are here officially to discuss a couple recent films we've gotten to check out. First up, friends.
Sorry about the dogs in the background.
Oh, it's subtle. It'll be all right. I did notice that, but it's almost nothing. It's fine. Let's see. Let's touch on. Well, I saw a very little quick teaser. I saw something very new, very superhero-y, very DC that just dropped this weekend.
Hello Kitty Island Adventure?
Sadly, sir, not associated with DC. Or, I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's not where I was going.
Okay, sorry.
But we'll get back to that shortly. We're going to hit a couple other titles that me and Nick have checked out that are not necessarily the brand spanking newest this weekend. Something that came out a couple months back, and I will just give our hot takes on this one. That a title that I recently dropped on Disney Plus, and I know call us cheaper or circumstantially incapable of going to the theater often, but James Gunn's final chapter in his stint with Marvel on Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Me and Nick, right, sir? You mentioned you got to check that out? Okay.
Me and the wife watched it the other night.
Dude, and I literally watched it. I'm looking at the time right now, like 12 hours ago. So the night before, something like that. Anyway, let's do a hot take and a rating. Not even a hot take, just a light-hearted, somewhat spoiler-free, just our review, our thoughts and rating. Sure, I'm going to throw it over to you while I mess around behind the scenes here, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
This was an interesting entry for the saga of Guardians of the Galaxy. It felt off to me. Don't get me wrong, I still enjoyed it, but just the pacing of it felt weird to me. But I am glad they went and touched on the origins of a certain character in there. We got to see a few origin stories, actually, and a nice wrap-up of where the others are going. Guardians of the Galaxy could have gone a different direction, but I think James Gunn was in a hurry to try to give everyone the proper send-off they deserved for this. Because he was kind of stepping away from it to do his DC thing. Yeah, no, like I said, it just felt off to me. I still enjoyed it for what it was. And of course I laughed. I oohed and awed, and I was excited about seeing certain things happen on there. But it just, other than the character interactions, it didn't feel like the Guardians of the Galaxy movies we've seen in the past.
I can see that. I'm so curious about how it affected James Gunn's take on it, like how much he changed, added to, based on his previous interactions with Disney and Marvel Studios. The fact that we talked about prior to Volume 3 even going into production, he'd been fired from Disney because of Twitter allegations of unfavorable humor that he shared over social media more than 6 to 8 years ago. And a lot of that got resolved. And I remember we talked about DC sweeping him up and wanting him to do a Suicide Squad. And now he's freaking literally co-CEO of DC Studios. And so he had already gotten that, already announced a bunch of DC stuff on his path and way to doing that. And I'm so curious how much of that affected, for good or bad, this final chapter. Like his it wasn't really a swan song, but kind of like his final footprint in Marvel cinema. But I'll give my quick hot take here. But what would you rate it out of 10?
They touched the heart of a lot of things in it. So even though it felt odd to me and it felt off and the pacing felt weird, I kind of see where he was going with it. So I'm still going to give it a 6.5, 7.
Oh, interesting. How did the first two stack up by comparison? Just so we have an idea of where your feelings land on the Guardians as a
I want to say
franchise.
both of them got a 9 or 10 from me before.
So this third entry, it dropped a lot for you.
It did.
Well, I haven't had a lot of time to process it, but I totally same page as you as far as it feeling a little off, it feeling different than the first two. I think there was a clear divide of time between 1, 2, and then 3. And unfortunately, that was out of Gunn's hands. Like, circumstantially, he was removed from the project. And it probably would have come out a lot sooner. And maybe it would have felt more fluid under those circumstances. But I guess overall, what I want to say about it, for how I felt about it, is, yeah, dude, it had a lot of the heart and the humor that we've come to expect from Marvel movies in general, but especially from James Gunn. And then one of the biggest focuses being a backstory of one of the Guardians. And again, I'm just keeping it spoiler free. Kind of, there was a lot of focus on one particular character, and man, there were a couple moments during that narrative that brought a weeping tear to the corner of my eye. But it kind of felt, it did, I guess I could agree with you, it kind of felt like a paint by numbers entry in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, unfortunately. And I think a lot of fans and nerds out there agree that Marvel needs to shake things up and inject some fresh life into these upcoming films of theirs if they want to keep people from falling off of them. I don't think they're in any danger of that, but I think overall they definitely need to do something more, something different.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
I'm a nerd through and through. Quite literally, if Disney keeps putting anything with the Marvel sticker on it and putting it out, it could be the biggest steaming pile of dog crap, I'm still going to watch it because I'm a nerd at heart and I'm going to have to. There's something in me that is compelled to watch it, and they know it.
Yeah, dude, you're feeding right into what could be a really great topic outside of this review regarding.
And it's not just the Marvel. It's
yeah,
slap a Marvel sticker on it, slap a Star Wars sticker on it. just go down the line of all those things that we know and love and we want to see more of. It's more of that nerdism being stroked that we want.
Yeah, totally. But that being said, dude, I'm gonna give it a solid 7 for myself. 7 out of 10. I enjoyed it. It didn't move the needle in any meaningful way as to, oh god, they still got it, or oh man, I'm worried. It's kind of like, no, it was just good. It was just good enough. And I think that's kind of where the 6 and 7s of our ratings land, is when something is enjoyable but kind of just good enough that it doesn't push it above that, you know?
There's almost one spoiler I want to point out, but I don't know if I should.
Well, here's what I'll do. And if you think we need to cut it later, we can discuss that post haste. But guys, I'm going to throw up a quick spoiler warning. I do tag these, so you guys can just skip ahead, I guess, 30 seconds if you want to avoid this topic. One moment.
Warning. Spoiler alert. Warning. Spoiler alert. You have been warned.
All right, crazy thing about that is that spoiler is probably way too epic for something small that you want to talk about, but go ahead.
Well, no. Now that the spoiler warning has been given, you've been given ample warning. There is something that makes me wonder, though. James Gunn's probably done with whatever his connection with Marvel is, because
I think his new responsibilities.
I
think his new responsibilities are gonna be too heavy for him to venture outside of where he's at now.
But the thing I'm also thinking about when it comes to that is, did you watch after the credits?
I'm pretty sure I did, but there's a solid chance I didn't. I was watching it pretty late at night.
All the way to the end. There was a few after credit scenes. But the last thing you see roll makes me wonder where they're going to go with it and how they're going to keep him involved without James Gunn. It actually said right at the end of it, Star-Lord will return.
Yeah. I just wonder if typically you see that in film, and you expect some sort of sequel later down the road of that character. It is also very possible that he may just get entangled in the next Avengers film. It might not. It doesn't have to necessarily be a Guardians, singled out title. But I also don't know a good example of what that looks like. And the only one I could give you, and I've never seen he'll be back for the Hulk, but we also know that the Hulk can't have any solo films as long as Universal Studios maintains the rights to it. Disney can only include him as a secondary character. They can't make a full film on just the Hulk. That's not true for Star-Lord or some of these other things that now Disney does have complete control over. So again, it's kind of up in the air. Maybe they do a solo Guardians film again, or maybe he just gets entangled in future Avengers stuff. I don't know. Because we know Adam Warlock, that was a pretty big introduction. It was in the trailers and in credit scenes of previous Guardian movies that we know that he's part of a future group of Guardians at some point.
Something to note, though, Paramount and Universal Studios rights to the Hulk, right?
Mm-hmm.
Reverted on June of 2023, this year. So the rights have reverted already. So
does Disney have complete control of the Hulk? Is that what you're getting at?
Yes, I am. So if they wanted to, they could now.
Maybe they will. Interesting. We should definitely move on because we're trying to keep things rolling and not go super crazy long. But yeah, do you need a quick pause or break or?
It's not my dog.
Yeah,
Let's see if me closing the window will help.
I think the next one that we both saw. So I'll give my hot take on this, guys. And then I'll pass it off to Nick. Guys, we watched Super Mario Brothers, the movie. I can't remember exactly when it came out. It was less than 2 months ago. And I actually, personally, I went and saw it in theaters once with all three of my kids and my wife. Really fun experience. It's definitely like family friendly. And then my middle kid really wanted to try out. Really wanted to try out 3D, and they actually had a 3D viewing of Super Mario Brothers, and so we both went and saw that. And I literally saw it, like, no joke, in 24 hours. I watched that movie twice. And to be honest, it was as good as the first time and was worth watching more than once. So I guess I could give that much. The biggest props I want to give it is the fact that they included so much detail. What I mean by that, I mean, when we talk about video game adaptations and we talk about, them being accurate, true to the characters, stuff like that, the movies have gotten so good at pulling that off, and they've been getting better and better at realizing that fans want literally everything about what they love about it to somehow show its face in the adaptation, because so often films deviate so hard from the books or just the original material period that it often becomes a labor for fans to want to enjoy. This touched on so many facets of the entire Super Mario franchise, from the classic Nintendos to the cartoon references. There's just so many flipping Easter eggs, guys. I guarantee you, if you go check out, if you type in YouTube Easter eggs Super Mario Brothers movie, you're gonna find so many of people breaking it down. There's so many amazing things in this. And so, bottom line, it's one of the best video game adaptations of a movie I've seen in a long freaking time. And I enjoyed it so thoroughly enough that I was willing to watch it more than once. I enjoyed it enough to buy the full version for myself so that my kids could watch it again and myself. I know I'm being maybe a little hyperbolic. I'm sure there's things to criticize here. There's some controversial. I wouldn't even use that word personally. There's some things they did with Peach to make her a little more strong and not the damsel in distress. And I'm not trying to spoil anything, but it's in the trailers here, as you guys can see if you're watching this on our video. You can see she's a bit more steadfast, warrior-like, very different from any of her interpretations in the video games that I've seen. But the pure, simple enjoyment of this film, I'm giving it for myself a solid 10 out of 10, honestly. It's probably a bit egregious, to say that it's a perfect film. So maybe I'm being a little willy-nilly with that. I give it nothing less than a 9, but I'm going to stick by the 10 out of 10. I'm really curious what Nick has to say about his perspective. So, Nick, I'm going to pass it off to you. Get your short, spoiler-free-ish review, if possible, and your rating.
I'm going to have to agree with you. Now, this is going to get a solid 10 from me. I loved every second of it. I loved all the little Easter eggs you're talking about. They made so many references that were just spot on.
Mind blown.
Yeah, no, I loved it. Jack Black found the role he was born to be in.
Yeah, dude.
No, he embodied Bowser, and I loved the direction they took with it and everything there. I also loved the backstory we finally got for Peach.
Oh yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, no, and they dove into like the old school game and why there would be something like that, and threw it in the game, which was the movie, which was fantastic. They didn't just touch on Super Mario Bros. Though. It went from everything. It actually, if you paid attention, it touched on every aspect and every version of Mario, other than Dr. Mario.
Oh, okay. I'm curious. Go on about the Dr. Mario part.
I'm saying it touched on everything but Dr. Mario. Everything else was actually covered in there. So, Baby Mario,
even the power ups that he grabbed,
the power ups,
squirrel, fire,
dude, yeah. And the one that blew my mind that they actually touched upon was Mario Kart.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's in the trailer, but there's an entire segment that shows off Mario Kart.
Yeah, no,
and I think the only thing they showed was the Rainbow Road track of Mario Kart, of all things.
Yeah, no, and there's so many different references for a whole bunch of other Nintendo franchises, a whole bunch of Nintendo properties to go along with it, which I was glad they touched him on. And I'm hoping it would be kind of cool if they turned it into like a Nintendo verse.
Oh yeah,
expand upon it and go multiple different directions, because this is good. This did so well.
Well, dude, oh yeah, it broke a lot of records. It's in the I can't remember exactly where it places. I'll look it up. But it's in the top 10 highest grossing films of all time, or at the very least in the top animated films of all time, for sure.
Yeah, no, and if they just lean into it and let themselves embrace the gaming nerd of the 1980s and 1990s and just give it the same treatment no matter what they touch in this with an Nintendo thing, I think they can go far on it.
Yeah. Oh, on that,
peaches.
On that, I was gonna say they released just last year or earlier this year Nintendo World at Universal Studios, in conjunction with this film, and so there's definitely tons of room for them to take it in different directions, especially definitely a sequel. Like, there's going to be a sequel.
I hope so.
I mean, I'd be did as well as it did. I know the cool thing about this is like the head of Nintendo, not head, but a lot of management in Nintendo was involved in making sure that the studio illumination kept this accurate as possible. Because Nintendo is, by and large, one of the biggest sticklers for their brand. It's why they don't port it anywhere else. It's why all first-party titles are only playable on a Nintendo device, and they are just very keep it close to their chest regarding all their IPs. So, you're right. Will they risk doing another sequel, regardless of how well this did? Who knows? I would kind of be shocked if they did, because they had so much involvement in the production of this to make sure it came out swinging. And with how much money it made, I would be shocked if they did not want to do a sequel.
Well, Illumination itself has only had one really big hit when it comes to video game adaptations.
I'm trying to think of what you're saying. This one, or is it something else?
Wait, did Illumination do the other one? No, I'm sorry. Nintendo has only had one other decent hit for video game adaptations.
Oh.
And that would be Pokemon Detective Pikachu.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just to add a quick everything else has been kind of like hit and miss since then.
Yeah. Between the Minion and Gru titles, I'm trying to think of what else. But dude, just at a glance, Wikipedia says it was $100 million budget, which is actually it's half of what most live action blockbusters go for these days. And then it came out swinging with 1.35 billion, over $1.25 billion in box office is what they left with. So it made 13 times its budget. Yeah, I'd be shocked if they don't do a sequel.
No, like, and just going off of the movie itself, they can have plenty of spinoffs directly from it. Like,
hey,
we could do a full Donkey Kong movie.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I like how they peppered in Diddy Kong from Diddy Kong Racing, Nintendo 64 era guys.
Yep.
All you millennials know what I'm talking about.
Shut up, Diddy. Oh,
it's such a brief scene, but anyway, it's not a huge spoiler. Maybe it is. I guess I don't remember seeing Diddy in the trailer, but we're not going to go much deeper into it this time. We're just hitting that review. So, us here at Nerdentials have given it a solid 10. Lastly, dude, I'm going to be horrible with the pronunciation of the names, but I'm going to give my hot take on. Well, before I jump into that, is there any other, not full reviews, but like any other hot takes you wanted to throw in there in cinema before I get to my superhero film of 2023?
Yes, I am so glad that the man, the legend, the original Mario voice was allowed to be in the movie.
Oh, yeah, that Italian dude.
Giuseppe.
Yeah. I forgot his character name. Yeah, but they allowed the whole signature, the signature wahoo.
Yeah, they're like, is the accent too much? No, it's just enough. Whoa!
Yeah, that's awesome. I didn't realize that was the original guy.
Oh yeah, that's the original voice.
It was spot on, you know.
Yeah.
Dude.
But I do have to say, for anybody that was worried about Chris Pratt playing as Mario and messing up the voice, or anyone else messing up the voice, every single voice and every single character in this, I thought did an amazing job. From Chris Pratt doing fantastic as Mario, given a lot of heart, a lot of feeling behind the character. From Charles Day playing Luigi, you could actually almost feel the brotherly love between them in the way they actually were able to express vocals just doing it.
Yeah, dude.
And Anna Joy Taylor, I think is her name.
Yep, Anya Joy Taylor. Yep.
Yeah, the one that did Peaches did pretty good.
Yeah.
You already heard me rave about Jack Black. And the one that surprised me and I thought did fantastic. And I actually want to see more of it. That's why I brought it up already. Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong.
Oh yeah. There's always one signature sound out of Seth Rogen that immediately gives away who's voicing
his laugh.
It's when Donkey Kong went in that. I'm not going to try to do it any better than that, but yeah, his chuckle, it's very, very throaty and very, very heavy, very it's hilarious. That's so good.
No, yeah. the interaction between them was fantastic too. So the chemistry between all the voice actors turned out really well, and I actually enjoyed every second of it.
Yeah,
I couldn't think of a way that they could have made it better.
Yeah, dude, I think when you finalize that type of statement, I think that's where we can assuredly rest our thoughts on the rating of a 10 out of 10, you know.
Wait, we could have had more Yoshi. Just saying.
Oh yeah,
Yoshi.
Yeah, he was almost as brief. I mean, he was in there a little bit longer than Diddy, but it was almost that little, you know. Like, yeah, you could have had a little more of that. That being said, dude, ready for the final one?
Hit me.
Oh, I'll hit you.
Hit me with your best shot.
I'll hit you with everything I got. How about that?
Oh, yes.
All right, guys. At the time of this recording, August 21st already. Okay, it's middle of the night, so August 20th at the time of when I saw it. Oh, you know what? Nope. I'm going to leave that off. I just realized if I put this clip in, it's I'll put some still images because it's Warner Brothers. Our 4-hour Justice League video got completely blacklisted because I put too many clips in there.
Yeah, Warner Bros. is
hardcore about
hardcore
sharing
and stickler.
anything.
Yep.
So I'll put in some still images here post.
Is this a superhero movie?
Yep, this is the superhero movie. The Blue Beetle.
Nice.
Played by, or I should say, Jaime Reyes, the character in his human form, plays the titular Blue Beetle. The actor is, I'm going to probably butcher this a little bit, but it is Zalo Maridueña. Dueña. Yeah, there we go. It's a Mexican. It's a solid Hispanic Latino name. Really hard to pronounce.
Miguel from Cobra Kai.
Oh, is that he played in that? I did not do enough research on the actors, but
all I gotta say is, and if you haven't seen Cobra Kai, you need to watch it and stop being a failure at everything. I'm joking.
I know. We'll talk about it off air.
Fantastic show.
Anyway, I understand, sir. I do. Co-starring alongside him as the secondary character / potential future love interest. And this is, I'm sure Nick could probably point out some comic book connections on this as I list characters out, because I'm sure you, sir, have a little more. Hello.
Sorry about that. Commercial.
Oh, shoot. A little bit more background knowledge than me, sir, probably. But Jenny Cord. I did look into a little bit of the history. This version, Jaime Reyes, was introduced in 2006 in the comic books, and I guess been a much longer history of Blue Beetle. There's about at least 2 other people holding the mantle as the Blue Beetle. But just quick premise and who directed it. It's an alien scarab chooses college graduate Jaime Reyes to be its symbiotic host, bestowing the teenager with a suit of armor that's capable of extraordinary and unpredictable powers, forever changing his destiny as he becomes the superhero known as Blue Beetle. And we've been waiting for this. On record, James Gunn has announced, despite our sullied, very controversial feelings, not controversial, we actually align a lot with the fans. The Snyderverse getting the axe and officially announcing that this Blue Beetle title, which was in production before the reboot, is going to carry over as one of the first titles in the new DC universe, being led and carried on by James Gunn himself. So it's not without surprise that this has a way lighter-hearted tone to it. It's, in my opinion, my thoughts is it's well balanced in humor, heart, a lot of heart in the story, a lot about about family in this, a lot about families in it families forever, and nothing else is. Super heartwarming, a lot of fun moments, couple over the top moments here and there, which harder critics might balk at, but it played so well into the rest of the humor and the balance of humor and emotions that I just ran with it. George Lopez plays the crazy kooky uncle to Jaime Reyes. Some people think he was over the top. He absolutely is, but he played into it beautifully. I loved his zany character. All I could hear was George Lopez in his character, and that was fine with me. As far as him being the uncle, one of the family members. Plot was good, steady. It's a solid 2-hour movie. It comes in at just under 2 hours. There is a mid-credit scene and a post-credit scene. We won't discuss any of that today. I'm keeping this completely spoiler-free, and Nick has not gotten around to watching it yet because it did just come out. I thought it had the action wasn't drawn out too heavily. Like, it seemed like a lot at times, but then when I look at the slow moments, the pacing with the family character development, all of it was a nice, beautiful mix for me. Nothing overstayed its welcome too long. And if anything, I wanted more of him arguing with the sentient symbiote that is the Blue Beetle. Nerd card could be revoked because I can't remember the name of the entity melding with Jaime. But this was there was a good mix of culture. This is definitely surrounded by a Latino family in a city in Mexico. I think there's a lot of great representation there. We're seeing more and more of that in cinema in general, and it's a beautiful thing. There was no point in time when I was lost in this movie at all or lost on any of the plot. And it wrapped up in a heartwarming, really great way. I left the theater just wanting to see the sequel whenever they get around to it. And so because of that, I'm going to give this a solid 9 out of 10. And the only reason is some of the over-the-top stuff. Honestly, it's between a 9 and a 10. It's not like a perfect film, and I don't want to be that DC fanboy guy that says, "Oh no, this is the turning point," but it is. Honestly, like, if this didn't have the DC logos at the beginning, this could have been mistaken as a Marvel film from anyone else that's not seen this DC property before. But they did. But I would say it was a breath of fresh air compared to what we used to love about Marvel. I would put it that way. This is not a Marvel film in any way, but for DC, that's a huge thing to say, is that this had like the heart and humor of a Marvel movie, but it had a lot of, I don't know, a breath of fresh air. I don't know how to explain that. We talked about Marvel movies starting to get a little more cookie cutter, and they need to be careful of that. You know, this one was a really fresh superhero story.
Was there a lot of good references to the potential DC universe?
Oh, yeah, just not even a spoiler, but they early on, and it didn't feel forced. Jaime Reyes, when he's in his room, he just got the scarab, and you saw, if you guys have seen the trailer, I'm not spoiling that at all. That's not a spoiler, but he threw out in a panic. He's like, what is this? I'm not Superman. Like, he name drops Superman. Then when they find more things about Blue Beetle's past, George Lopez, I think it was even in one of the trailers, he basically makes a snide comment about Batman. He's like, it's a cheaper Batman. Batman's a something or other. He criticized Batman for being kind of, yeah.
Yeah, I remember
there's a scene in a trailer where he mentions,
George Lopez calls Batman a fascist.
Yeah, fascist. They kept that in. That wasn't like a scene that got cut. He called Batman a fascist. He said that like Blue Beetle's gear is like a cheap version of Batman, but Batman's a fascist. Is kind of how the line was delivered, something like that. And they name dropped. Oh, they also name dropped the Flash, Superman, Batman, the Flash, and honestly, I can't remember. There was one more that wasn't any of those three. So I thought it was cool. No, spoiler on the fact that there was no scenes of any of those heroes, just name drops, so they're 100% connected to the world of DC superheroes, but they didn't cement any connection to any other previous movies. So Blue Beetle acknowledges that there's DC heroes in their world, and he's like, us Mexicans need a superhero. George Lucas says at one point, with the other cities that got. Oh yeah, that's what he was going on. He's talking to Jaime Reyes, saying they even named the city. They said, I'm drawing a blank. I know the cities, but Flash's city. Come on, Nick. Are you doing this thing where you pretend to be ashamed, but you also don't know, or are you just going to leave me hanging? Central City?
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. I found it.
It depends on what version. There's Central City, there's Edge City, there's Metropolis, Gotham, all ones that were created.
I'm talking about the Flash, specifically just the Flash, is not on his own stuff. It's Central City, at least in the CW TV shows, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I got to hold to a 9 out of 10. I really love this entry. And I look forward to seeing what James Gunn is able to pull off with the upcoming additional films. We still got Aquaman 2, which is part of the previous Snyderverse. I have no idea how that's going to land. There were re-edits since even The Flash because they're trying to find a way to put it out, not lose all their money on it, and still make a nice segue into the future of their franchise, whatever. Anyway, Blue Beetle, amazing, highly recommend. Would go see again in theaters. So that being said, dude,
you brought up the name Ginny Cord earlier.
Ginny Cord. Mm-hmm.
Ginny Cord is actually the daughter of Ted Cord.
Yeah, and
the second Blue Beetle. But the interesting thing about him is he didn't have any superpowers.
Yeah, he was the Batman.
It's addressed.
Oh yeah, sorry. It kind of spoils it, but Nick's already giving you the comic book background. They do actually reveal that at some point.
Okay, yeah. No, he's just crazy smart, makes a whole bunch of cool gadgets, and
you will really enjoy this film, Nick. Having that background knowledge that you're speaking about, it's in the movie.
Yeah, and he was technically the second one, and in the comic books, he actually gives Jaime Reyes the scarab when he's dying. Like he like dies saving everyone and says, "Hey, now it's your job."
That's epic. There's definite teases in this about in a future Blue Beetle movie. There's definitely enough teases I would see them going deeper into all the things you just shared with me.
Well, and I could see with them wanting to go Blue Beetle with how young he is. The new Superman Legacy going with a super young Superman. I'm expecting that we're going to see a lot of nice younger superheroes come into this, and I think they're doing that for a reason. One, because we've done the older version of superheroes that are more mature and they're like big names. They just want to grab them and throw them in there.
Been doing it for years.
But
yeah,
if they're grabbing the younger people, they can grow into those roles and they can milk them for all the money they're worth for years.
100%, dude. You don't want to start with a 50-something-year-old Batman if you're trying to reboot everything and you want the studio to have another 10 years with these characters.
I'm telling you, I would be fine with a 60-some-odd-year-old Batman played by our good and faithful Batman, Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
And do Terry McGinnis, Batman Beyond. You can't go wrong.
No, so many people want to see that. I would love to see that. All right, guys. That's going to wrap up our movie matters for the week. We have a little bit of TV to talk about, so let's do just that. Welcome to TV Talk, guys. We have some hot takes, a little bit of catching up on TV. We haven't talked about that in a while. And then we're going to react to an upcoming show. I'm super excited about that, of the Star Wars flavor. First off, I'll kick things off while Nick does a little bit of IT work in the background there on his end. I'd just like to briefly cover that I had fallen behind on Rick and Morty. In fact, the last time I had kept up with it, sadly, was just the first half of season 4 back when it dropped. And y'all want to know how far back that was? If none of you guys watched the show, they wrapped up earlier this summer. They wrapped up season 6. So I had 2.5 seasons to watch just to catch up on where I had been before. I keep up on the news, throughout the year anyways, so even if I didn't see the show, I've read about something relating to it or how some people felt. I want to say it was season 5, halfway through season 5, fans were complaining or feeling a little like some lacklusterness about it, and I'm here to tell you, I'm here to give you a positive spin on my thoughts on these seasons, and I'm going to kind of lump them. I'll give you my feelings on them kind of together because honestly, guys, I binged everything over the course of like 3 or 4 days, and because they're only 20-minute episodes, so it's kind of easy to do. So I don't have a separation of feeling between season 5 and 6. I kind of just have to give you very general thoughts. I'm actually rewatching the entire series. I'm back on season 4 again, after just casually rewatching 1 through 4, and then I'll rewatch 5 and 6, and then maybe have some different thoughts for people here. Maybe if Nick gets around to ever watching the current stuff there, maybe we'll have a back and forth next time. But season 5 and 6 and I guess 4. So like honestly, because 4 I had been so long since I had seen it, I will have to say 3 seasons was more glorious, wonderful mayhem, smart humor, super intelligent. I would say the hardcore went. They always have. Rick and Morty has always been pretty meta. By meta, self-aware meta. Brief references to knowing that they're a show or mentioning the word, next season we'll do this. Or I guess this season or this episode is going to be a blah, blah, blah episode, guys. They make offhanded, breaking the fourth wall comments like that once in a while. They did a lot more of that this year and the previous season. I still enjoyed the hell out of both. Each season kind of has a dark, serious moment, a self-referential looking at himself moment for Rick, because if you guys have followed the series, you know that Rick is the alcoholic grandpa who's the smartest man in the universe and constantly needs his grandson Morty, who has become way more confident over the years, but he's a bit of a whiner. And for anyone who's never seen the show, just a quick reference, it was inspired by Doc and Marty.
Yep, Doc Brown.
Marty McFly, or whatever, from Back to the Future, from the Back to the Future films. It's definitely 100% inspired off of that. And then it makes tons of references to, kind of like The Simpsons or Family Guy, it makes references to a lot of modern day events here and there. There was 1 or 2 episodes that were literally a just for fun type story. And I can see where the hardest core fans, and I consider myself a fairly hardcore fan. I guess I can't completely claim that because I did miss the last 2 years.
Pickle Rick.
But yeah, Pickle Rick says I'm a really strong fan, and I watched them all back to back, and I enjoyed them thoroughly. But I am very aware of a couple that I saw where I could see the complaint where it didn't have super smart Rick meta humor, self-referential stuff. There was an entire episode about Voltron and Rick just obsessively wanting to collect all the parts to Voltron. So that was a very just for fun episode that did not have a lot of deeper meaning. It wasn't something you could go into and find a lot of super meta referential stuff other than the fact that it was basically referencing the classic Voltron. But so I understand some of that, but overall, I thoroughly enjoyed everything Rick and Morty has thrown out here. We'll probably be talking about it between now and next year, because they still have the 70 episode deal. Dan Harmon is still helming the entire property. And anyone that keeps up in the news, sadly knows that Justin Roiland won't be coming back. We will save that for another time. It's kind of like how Hollywood's gotten rid of some of our favorite people because of controversial things that they might have done, or even things they were allegedly have done and have since been proven innocent. And unfortunately, it was a big enough sting on his ability to keep voicing Rick and Morty that they're not letting him come back. The only, so I feel bad for Justin Roiland, but I am happy that there's a lot of people that out there, because I've watched a lot of TikTok, guys. I know there's some amazing voice impersonations, and that I know that they'll very easily find Rick and Morty replacement. I just hope the writing doesn't suffer, because one of the things Justin Roiland was known for was his improving skills. His improv skills were a huge part of some of the stuff that got left in the episode that they didn't cut because it was fresh and raw. And when you get someone that's genuinely funny like that, it sucks when you let them go. So we'll see where the series goes moving forward for season 7. They're going to keep making episodes. I give the seasons lumped together for right now, because I'd have to rewatch them to give you something more concise, but I'd have to give season 5 and 6 as a whole, 20 episodes combined, a solid 8 out of 10. Pure enjoyment, more of the crap I loved about the first 4 seasons, truly. And again, like I said, there's a few 1 or 2 deep episodes in each season where Rick has a moment, like a moment of self-realization where he's really messed up. And it's funny because he always comes back out of it swinging, thinking he's a god. God doesn't exist. He's the smartest man in the universe. That cockiness comes back every time, but we do see deeper layers in these last 2 seasons, and I'm so curious where they keep going with it. So that's my Rick and Morty hot take, Nick. Highly recommend that you go back to it at some point and try to catch up. It's on HBO Max. All 6 seasons currently are on HBO Max.
I currently don't have Max.
Just Max now, and we'll talk about that, Nick. We'll talk about how to get you back in the loop. I want to pass it off to something you've seen that I haven't seen. I want to get your hot take and numbers on it, and then maybe we'll do the trailer reaction show coming up. I figured that would be a good way to flesh out the rest of our TV Talk segment.
Yeah.
So, what have you seen lately that I haven't? Because I know there's one show in particular.
There's a few, actually. One show that I actually watched recently, and when I say recently, I binged the entire season today.
Whoa. Today, prior to recording?
Today, yes. I watched the last episode 45 minutes before I got on the recording with you.
That's as fresh as it gets.
Yep. And the series I'm talking about is done by Peacock. Peacock!
Peacock
And
Original?
original. It's a Peacock
Ooh.
original based off a game that a lot of us, I guarantee it, a lot of us spent so many hours just reveling in the chaos that was Twisted Metal.
Love it. Yes. I was so, when they announced that show was going to be a show, so many people, including myself, were like, how are they going to make this meaningful or enjoyable in any way? Because it's such an over the top thing. Why don't you give everyone a description who's never played the game? What's the general premise of the game? And then we'll segue to how they did the show.
General premise of the game is it's based in a very dystopian future where everything is just messed up beyond belief. And there are these tournaments held where drivers face off against each other in souped up, armed to the teeth and armored to the teeth, cars, vehicles, ice cream trucks, everything in between, and battle out in epic races of destruction derby.
Word. And so then we take that and we're like, how do they make this into a meaningful show without being just straight up ridiculous?
And it was straight up ridiculous, and that's what made it work so well. It was ridiculous in the best of ways.
Intentional
So
ridiculous.
they didn't do it as like the race tournaments and stuff like that. They had a different idea behind it. And the way they did it, I think, was a smart way of setting it up. Because quite literally, if they just wanted to do the races and all that, we've already seen that with Death Race.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
This was more of a different setup, which worked well in their favor. But if you're going to watch it, watch all the way through because they're setting it up for a new season, which is I think is going to be pretty good too.
Makes sense. Other than, because I don't have the full cast in front of me, I know Anthony Mackie is on the cover here.
Anthony Mackie, what's her face from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Rosa.
Oh, okay.
Quite a few people actually. I can't think of their names right off the top of my head. Let me look it up.
Oh, hold on. Yeah, I'm just pausing for a minute because, oops, I'm messed up. Hold on.
All right, I have it right here.
Okay.
We have Anthony Mackie. We have Samoa Joe. Stephanie Beatrice, who is this girl from Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yeah. So Nick, describe what you're seeing. What we're.
Thomas Hayden Church.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No, what we're seeing here is we're actually seeing a video of the PlayStation 1 release of the original Twisted Metal. The cool thing about this is
we're seeing the mayhem.
We're seeing one of the most iconic characters of the series right here. That is Sweet Tooth.
Ooh.
A crazy, psychotic killer clown.
Oh, I love me a killer clown.
Yeah. And I loved how they approached Sweet Tooth in the show. So, yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
The way they set it up definitely lent towards more of a story making of it and more of a grand adventure over just mayhem and chaos. And because they did it that way, it was much more enjoyable. Anthony Mackie was on point in this, funny, charismatic, and I think he did a really cool job. The car fighting scenes were really well done. without going crazy over the top, while still being able to pepper in a sense of humor throughout the whole thing.
Nice. Yeah, they just in the clips we're watching right now, there's a little bit of the feel of some of the chaos of on the off-roading stuff, and I could see how but from a story point, very curious. Like, I'm curious to actually see it myself.
No, they did it really well. I think you would be remiss to not watch it. It was a fantastic show. There's
Nice.
Thomas
Do you
Church.
do you got a number for this one?
Yeah,
As a
no,
show?
I'd give this a solid 8.5 out of 10.
Oh, is that Tasty, the Killer Clown?
Oh yeah, that is Sweet Tooth.
Sweet Tooth, that's what I meant. Tasty. Wrong guy. Oh, Nev Campbell from the Scream movies.
Yep.
She's in this. Very nice. Yeah, I remember seeing that.
Yeah, no.
Definitely
So the funny thing is, I said Samoa Joe. People might not recognize that. Samoa Joe only plays the physicality of Sweet Tooth, but the voice is done by none other than Will Arnett.
Nice. He's my favorite Batman in the Lego movies.
He's also the only acceptable glittery Batman.
Correct. Very correct, sir. Oh, very nice. Streaming only on Peacock, friends.
I would recommend giving it a try. Don't listen to critics. A lot of critics are saying it was a miss. As someone who played every release of everything that was ever Twisted Metal, I could honestly say that they stayed true to the nature of Twisted Metal without copying it exactly and giving it its own life. So it was very fantastically done.
Guys, we're going to watch a trailer. It's on Disney Plus, so there's a good chance it'll get blocked or copyright stricken in it. And if so, I may just throw up some still images in post. But for now, we're going to react to it in live fashion, and then we're going to talk about what we hope to see, figure out where it's going to go, all the above. So, guys, it is a Disney Plus original.
Well, leading up to this, I was just going to give you some background real quick.
Okay.
And then
should we title drop it so everyone knows what we're talking about?
Oh, sure. Yeah, go ahead. Continue what you're doing, and then I'll give you some background.
Okay. Well, do that right before the trailer watch itself. So, guys, we all know Star Wars spin-off shows have been hit and or miss with fans. A lot of them have been really well done, despite fan opinion. One of the best series, both critically and fan-based wise, I would surmise, is the Mandalorian series. We had the Book of Boba Fett. We've had Andor. We're now, and those again were hit and miss on fan feelings and critics. But Mandalorian, by and large, has been wildly successful. Baby Yoda definitely helps, little Grogu, but we were introduced to a character, I believe, Ahsoka. I never watched the Clone Wars, so I'm purely going off
Third
title
season.
and the character from Mandalorian. I want to watch the Clone Wars at some point. A lot of people have highly recommended it, including Nick himself, I do believe. Anyway, Ahsoka is getting her own character-focused show. Order of 1 season, 8 episodes, releasing on August 23rd. And at the time of this recording, it's the 21st. So in 2 days, it'll be dropping on Disney Plus. A 2-episode premiere. See, Disney learned a while ago, Netflix binging, you get people subbing and canceling. So they did the Hulu thing, and they've, for several years, or for the last couple years, have now been doing weekly releases to keep people on that subscription chain. You know what I'm saying? The brief description of this season is after the fall of the Galactic Empire, former Jedi Knight Ahsoka Tano investigates an emerging threat to a vulnerable galaxy. Now, I'm going to toss it over to Nick because he's going to give us a little bit of background about this character, and then we're going to go check out the trailer. So, Nick, I hand it over to you, sir.
Yeah, you kind of touched upon it earlier. Ahsoka is the Padawan of our very own Anakin Skywalker, who never achieved the title of master.
Small stipulation.
Yeah, she was the Padawan of Anakin, who later became Darth Vader, of course. But we saw her grow and develop as a character from someone we hated to someone that was the heart and soul of everything that the series of Clone Wars was. But that's not where her story ended. I actually recommend anybody going into this, you may be a little bit out of the loop and not understand everything that's going on unless you follow up and watch two very important series that were phenomenally well done by Dave Filoni, who is the actual director of this the series Ahsoka.
Hell yeah. Mm-hmm.
Clone Wars.
Mm-hmm. The animated series Clone Wars. She's in that.
And Rebels.
Oh, okay.
Now, one of the things I noticed, because I've seen the preview for this that we're about to watch in just a little bit, they are bringing back so many of the characters from the Rebels TV series. So It would behoove you to at least watch Rebels.
It would saturate your enjoyment of what you will inevitably see in this upcoming series.
But as a fan of these two series, I can say they were some of the best work Star Wars has ever done.
You know, what's crazy is a counter comparison, not counter, but like a unilateral parallel comparison would be the animated DC films have by and large well outperformed, sadly, our last 10 years of live action stuff.
No, a lot of people say for a long time Clone Wars, Bad Batch, stuff like that actually saved Star Wars from going down the drain completely. And I would
I buy it.
I would second that. But no. Yeah, so the last time we saw Ahsoka was in season 3 of Mandalorian. They talked to her a few times. You get to see her with some cool lightsabers, and you know she's a Jedi, but you don't really know the backstory from the TV series unless you watch the other ones I was talking about previously mentioned. But they may do some flashbacks in this movie, so you don't have to watch those episodes and those seasons. But still, I would say, as a fan, I would recommend it.
Yeah, the recommendation is if you would like a little bit of embellishment on your love of the characters.
Yes, because Ahsoka, being played by Rosario Dawson in this new series, when you first meet her in Clone Wars, is the most annoying little twit you would ever hear or see on any movie, and she is beyond annoying. But you see her progression and her become a very full-blown character and integral to everything that is the Clone Wars.
I love it. The maturity is found in the pudding. Proof is in the pudding, they say.
Yeah. And if you're talking about Cosby, it's more than just proof.
Let's redirect that point. Do you have any? Do you have any other highlights, or should we cover the highlights post viewing of this?
Let's go ahead and roll that beautiful bean footage, and then we'll cover it afterwards.
Awesome. All right, I will be watching this myself for the first time in its entirety.
I have not seen the newest ones. I saw the original preview that came out, the original trailer. So if that's trailer,
I think this might be the original. It's 45 seconds long.
Hit me with your best shot.
Well, it came out 7 days ago on the official Star Wars channel on YouTube. So we're just
If
going
it
to go
came
roll
out
with
7
this.
days ago, this is definitely a new one.
Okay. Here's the latest teaser, friends. Full volume for now.
Oh, wait. Before you start, I see a character there in the background.
Yeah, that's literally the very beginning of this trailer.
Oh, no. I see a character in the background. I just want to say, unfortunately, if they did go very far with this character, the great Ray Stevenson actually passed away recently. He is the character in the background there.
We're talking about the guy in black or something further in the background?
The guy in the background, the guy in black. Ray Stevenson.
With white hair, beard. Okay.
Yeah. No, he recently passed away.
Oh, that is sad. I wonder. Let's react Raleigh. Raleigh. Let's just react and we'll dive into the credits afterwards. Here we go.
Everyone in the Order knew Anakin Skywalker. Few would live to see what he became.
By the end of the Clone Wars, I walked away from him and the Jedi.
In this war, you will face more than just droids. As your master, it's my responsibility to prepare you.
Chills.
I won't always be there to look out for you.
I could use the help. Once a rebel, always a rebel.
Don't be afraid. And trust your instincts. I know you can do this, Ahsoka.
That sounds like Anakin talking.
It is.
Real quick, should I find any other additional trailers with how short that was?
I know the other trailer showed some other cool stuff in it. I would actually recommend the longer trailer.
Let's pull this one up. We'll watch it, and then I'll shorten wherever we need to.
That voice in the background was definitely Anakin.
And he never said Ahsoka in any of the trilogy films, which tells me if he doesn't make an appearance, we'll talk about that later. At the very least, they got him to come in to do some lines.
Yep.
Some voice acting lines at the very least. So here we go. I haven't seen this one either. I've been out of the loop.
Something's coming.
I know, dude. Trying to get back in.
Something dark. I sense it.
That's right, Miss Rosario.
This is a new beginning.
That's a creature.
For some, war.
Droid. Just kidding.
For others, power.
Oh, another red lightsaber.
It's been a while. Things have changed. I started hearing whispers about Thrawn's return
Oh yeah, Thrawn.
as heir to the Empire. We have to prepare for the worst.
Oh my god, oh good.
The Jedi fell a long time ago.
Yes, give us more Sith. Oh.
Perhaps it is time to begin again.
Son of a bitch. Okay. I tend to try to react during and add some vocal in there to try to minimize the striking nature of it all. I feel like it'll probably end up with a copyright, not strike, just a copyright claim, which we could live with as long as they don't block it. If they block it completely, Nick, baseball talk here, I'll cut it out. But okay, reactions on your part. Because I feel like you've probably watched the previous one. I'm
No,
doubt.
just every time I watch that, it gives me chills. I'm excited for it. It's good to see her with the dual lightsabers. And it's Rosario Dawson. Amazing. Sorry,
What?
freaking.
No, you're good. It's the one F-bomb. We're still PG-13. It's all right.
Yeah. No, saw a lot of familiar faces. And I'm excited where they're going to go with that. Sabine Wren.
Now, okay, to help me out a little bit, and anyone watching, who's the guy that passed away, and did that look like him, or did they just hire someone?
Oh, that was definitely him. He
Oh,
passed
okay.
away after filming was done.
So sad. Okay.
Yeah, Ray Stevenson. Ray Stevenson is known for a lot of things. He played as one of the Warriors 3 in the Marvel cinematic universe. He was the Punisher in that Punisher All Out Warzone, whatever it was back in the day.
Okay, yeah.
He's been in a lot.
He died May 21st this year at 58. So sad. Ray Stevenson, one of his prominent features in his description on IMDb says he stands at 6'3", with intense, penetrating eyes, and possessed of a larger-than-life personality. That's cool.
Oh, yeah, he was a big dude.
Yeah, his top known for films are The Three Musketeers as Porthos. He played Volstagg in the 2011 original Thor film.
Mm-hmm.
Kill the Irishman. The Vampire's Assistant, 2009, among many others. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I forgot about him as Porthos.
Yeah.
But no, you saw. I actually had the list here. Let's try to help with it.
Ooh. Credits say David Tennant makes an appearance as Hyung, something. Hayden Christensen is listed as a credit in here, and he's playing Anakin Skywalker. We just don't know how much we're going to see of him, if any. Lars Mikkelsen. I wonder, is he related to Mads Mikkelsen?
He is. He's one of the Mikkelsen brothers.
Lars. Hey, yeah, I know his face looks related. I'm looking at it right now.
Lars Mikkelsen was the original voice from Clone Wars of Thrawn.
Oh, and he's playing Thrawn, a physical version of Thrawn in this. That's awesome.
Yes. And I got irritated when I saw people like, oh, this is the person that should play as it. It should be this other actor. I'm like, no, they have the only actor that is acceptable to play as Thrawn.
Who has
shut your mouth and enjoy it.
Damn. Yeah. That's hilarious.
No.
Yeah. Anyway, dude. Yeah. What's your
quite literally almost the entire crew from Rebels was there within that trailer.
Yeah, that's so cool. What's your excitement level, dude, for this?
I honestly think this is gonna be bigger than anything they've done for the shows to date.
Up to this point, yeah.
Yep. But they're setting up a big like cinematic universe for the TV series, which is a smart way of doing it instead of doing full movies. Because it gives them more room to play with.
Yeah, well, and it'll help them find a better direction for whatever the first re-entry into the cinemas that we find Star Wars landing,
Well, if they do it this quality, we don't need a movie. Just keep sending them out as TV series. Give us little installments so you can take your time to direct it and take your time to shape it into what you want it to be.
You're not wrong. It's
and more importantly, shape it into what the fans want it to be.
Yeah. Yeah, if you take your time to do it right, yeah. We know they're not gonna stop releasing stuff to theaters. They have at the moment because the returns on the last trilogy were not to their air quotes expectations. and fans are divided, at least on the last 3 movies. But
I've been known to be a stickler about following the source material and everything like that.
yeah,
I've been getting a different take on things lately, and honestly, when it comes to the sequels, the prequels, all those,
yeah,
were they what we wanted? Not entirely. Were they what we needed? Probably not. But you know what? They were a damn Star Wars movie that got to fill that void in our heart that we needed at that point. So whether it was exactly what we wanted or needed, you know what? Shut your mouth and enjoy it for what it is. It's a freaking Star Wars movie that someone took time to make.
I
I'm
can't
sorry.
quote.
I apologize.
Oh no, you're good, and I think anyone with a like-minded nature towards fandom, you're going to get people that disagree. But I think if anyone that knows us, who's been watching or listening for as long as we've been talking about this stuff on the internet, I think they would at least get it or understand it. And I know that doesn't matter. The internet's filled with trolls and never do wells and whatever. But I would love to quote him, but I can't. So I'll paraphrase the feelings of one of my favorite fans in the world. Not a fan of me, but a fan of pop culture that I really look up to on his personal opinion and how he views life. And that's the one Mr. Kevin Smith. And he places criticism when it's necessary, but like one of the things he looks at regarding fandom is like that he's the kid who found a new toy box all the time, always finding a new toy in that toy box, and like that's how he kind of goes into these films, because like he's a decade older than us, easily, and he grew up in an era where it was just a dream to see these toys of his be put on the silver screen. And his dad took him when he was a little boy to see Star Wars in the early 80s and late 70s for the first one and the original trilogy. And so there's always room to criticize, nitpick, point out, but like you just said, Nick, you reminded me of in your, I would say, if it's fair to say, your renewed perspective on how you like to look at pop culture, or at least your own personal fandom of things, is that exactly what you just said. They made it and put it on a gigantic screen. It's here. Our childhood enjoyment of these toys, we would make up things in our head and play with them. It's like us as freaking full-grown adults get to not only like relive our childhood on some level, even if it's not a perfect representation of that, but we also, a lot of us have kids now as well, and they're not jaded by 30 years ago versions of what we hold so dear to our heart. They're getting a kick out of watching this shit as much as we would have had we seen this stuff then when we were kids. So that's just a personal PA to all the trolls in the world and all the uptight, stick up their ass critics. You know who you are. I don't know. I used to call myself the easy to please guy in the group, but like honestly, that kind of fresh take of how you said it is like, dude, we could also just not get these. And also people complain about, oh, it's destroying our childhood. Guess what? No one is re-editing the stuff from our childhood. It's still out there. If you own it, you can pop it in your player anytime. You can stream the old shit anytime. They're not taking the old stuff and messing with it. They're just making new shit, and you can take it or leave it. Mm-hmm. And speak louder with your wallets, not your words. It would be my final note to all fans out there, those who hate and those who love what's coming out. Vote with your wallets. You find out you don't like what they're doing in the movie, don't go out and see it. No. Don't pay for it.
Do exactly what we did with Sonic.
Well,
Trailer comes out, and it is
yes.
such an abomination before it ever hits the movie. And you're like, wait, no, this isn't right. You guys need to fix this before doing it. And you know what they did? They listened to that feedback before releasing the movie, and they fixed it.
Now, there's a small, I would have to at least just add a caveat to that, sir, is that was a very obviously visual thing that people could see.
Yeah.
Needed to have a stop put to it. Like, and unfortunately, all the Star Wars stuff, all the trailers look amazing. There's not exactly in trailers, it's really hard to see, oh, they're doing something horrible with this character. You're not going to unfortunately know that until you go and see the movie. But that is, yes, it's a good example of fans crying out loud enough and a studio responding. The problem with that example is that it was an easy thing to point out to the studio and an easy thing to see why they were upset, because it was visually in your face that, oh man, they are messing this character up on a fundamental, literal, physical level.
Yeah, no.
It's not a bad example though. Like,
now here's the thing though. They will always have fans like us though. So even if there are people that get upset about it and blah 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 and don't like it and don't want to see it, you know what? Don't see it. Don't worry about it. Don't mind it. But you know what? As long as you slap Star Wars in it, you have lightsabers and you have ships that go pew pew, take my money.
In the words of the truly passionate fans that just want to see their childhood on screen again. That's my final thought. And that was also a final mic drop moment for you, sir. It looked like you threw your wallet at the screen.
That's exactly what I threw.
For all you podcaster listeners who are not watching the video, and you should definitely check out the video because sometimes funny things happen on screen. Nicholas, well put, well said. My excitement level for this series, purely based on the trailers we watched, is pretty high up there. Comparatively to The Mandalorian, how I felt about season 1 teasers of Mandalorian, I kind of a little more elevated because we're seeing a little more of the literal Star Wars Jedi side of it. Like, Mandalorian was a nice departure. It's like a Western in the universe of Star Wars, but we're seeing freaking Sith and Jedi interactions in Ahsoka, and I think that tickles Schwartz a little harder than most.
And I'm hoping for very epic fight scenes, because think about it.
I hope
at this point in Ahsoka's life, she is a full-blown Jedi Knight that has fought with the likes of Anakin Skywalker, General Grievous, and all those, and came out and survived. She is a master of the Form 5 Sheen fighting style. And hopefully we're going to see some of that. We're going to see some of the craziness that was the dual-wielding Ahsoka in her prime. So I expect some really cool sword lightsaber scenes, because it's not just the fact that she's like a full-blown knight. You're also looking at full-blown Inquisitors. And most of these Inquisitors, they weren't Force sensitive. They didn't have the ability to throw people around with the Force. Like, Ray Stevenson's characters obviously is a Force user, but the majority of the Inquisitors weren't Force users. They were just very good saber fighters.
Word.
So if they lean into that and then embrace that, we're gonna have a spectacle to watch.
Well, guys, you heard it here. And if I'm blessed with expediency in getting this episode cut and dropped, you'll be able to hear this before the premiere. But if not, we'll have more to talk about in the next episode, next time we meet. Nicholas, I think this will be a good spot for the wrap-up. No, it sounded like I was going to throw up a stinger. I don't have one for that, but I will, all right, guys, that's going to do it for episode 129 of the Nerdentials podcast.
129.
This is going to be a nice little hour and a half plus package of TV and movie, we will hit video game convos upon next meeting. But for now, like I said up at the front, if you're still sticking around and you forgot where to find us, just type in Nerdentials on Google. You'll find us wherever podcasts are. You'll find us on YouTube if you want to see the video. You can even go to a nice, lovely site, which will get some updates here this fall at nerdentials.com.
Wait. It still says nerdentialsmedia.com at the bottom of the screen.
Look away from that. Look away right now.
So just scratch the media's part right there and call it good.
Yep.
Nerdentials.com.
Yep. Drop the media. I mean, don't drop our media, but drop the word media from your search. Yes, absolutely. I do see how that would be confusing.
But that's cool. We're moving up in the world. We don't need to throw in extra words. We just have nerdentials.com now.
Yep, nerdentials.com.
We're real boys.
.com. Nerdentials.com, guys. That's where all this stuff is connected, related, and found. We're also can be found on the Facebooks, the Instagrams, and yes, I know the bottom icons need to be changed. You can also find us on X. Wait, what? Sorry, previously known as Twitter, but now
Twitter's on there too.
Elon, I just said, ignore the icons down below because guess what? That streaming icon, Mixer, that's gone a long time ago. I'm wrapping up. Hold on. Child has arrived.
Wrap it up.
Anyway, guys, you can check us out everywhere. You'll see the links here. I'll put that in post. They're there. All links are down in the description below of this video as well. Guys, it's been a pleasure. It's been too long, and hopefully we can stop saying that each time we finally record.
We're working on trying to set it up, so even if we can't get our other fellow compadres to join us, hopefully we'll do
putting out something regularly enough so that you don't question whether or not to stay subscribed. Please stay subscribed.
Even if it's just me and Joe in our gloriousness.
And as it is this time around. So thanks for joining us. If you are still here and listening,
please tell me I'm enough. Please tell me I'm enough.
Nicholas, I feel like you are enough.
Okay.
And hopefully that will keep you around. I don't want to one man this show yet. I'm not there. If I have to, I will. But that being said, guys, for myself, Nick, Matthew, and Ryan, who aren't here this time, but always in spirit, they're still here. This has been Nerdentials episode 129.
129.
As always, my gaming nerds, we'll see you on the other side.
That's it.